Judas Priest are a heavy metal band who have their origins in Birmingham in 1969, which is approaching 54 years ago now, and they have had continuous existence since then. Understandably, they've had some turnover of members, but surprisingly not that much, considering. They are considered to be hugely influential in metal circles, and of their 18 albums so far, probably their best known is their 1980 album British Steel. Hi, my name's Dan. So this is the 8th studio album by Judas Priest, and it's my first time listening to it. And I feel like I'm on fairly solid ground if I describe this as being heavy metal. Possibly not as hairy metal, but yeah, okay. Or depends on how you like to describe these things. You could describe it as hard rock or heavy rock. So this is pre-90s metal. So heavy metal went through a dramatic metamorphosis pretty much end of the 80s, early 90s, changing the sound quite a bit, and particularly the kind of chord structures and harmonic structures that are being used, so that it is now quite different to how it was. I mean, it still uses overdriven guitars, which I guess was always a thing. So this is kind of in the middle of a thing called the new wave of British metal, or new wave of British heavy metal. Given that they're a British band and we're right in the kind of middle of that time, definitely it kind of feels like an archetypal early 80s metal album. So there's driving rhythms, it's tight, there's some mildly complex rhythms going on, which is fairly normal for this sort of stuff. And there's a lot of minor keys stuff. They've got two electric guitars, which gives them some distinctive sound to that. And like I said, you could describe this as being heavy rock, but I think that the distinctions are kind of slim. I think in some ways the thing that tips this into heavy metal rather than hard rock is the vocals. So it's the kind of, particularly the high, warbly, screaming kind of vocals, and that sounds negative and it's not, because it's very well done. So it's Rob Halford, who is quite a interesting and amazing character. He's a bit of a phenomenon, actually. He's been apparently very influential in metal vocals, and he's versatile. And on this album, I would say, so initially I found it hard to believe that it's all the same vocalist. I'm not hugely kind of aware. I don't know a lot about Judas Priest. I do know a bit about Rob Halford. When I first heard the album, I thought that there were other vocalists involved here. It's all him, apparently, which is quite amazing. He's a very iconic metal voice. The songs are not surprising in their content, kind of what you might imagine from metal. There's maybe a bit less of the stuff about dark religious things in here. It's got stuff, aggressive stuff about war, but fantasy, kind of vague rock fare, but it's not difficult or objectionable, and it's not as dark and hard to swallow as some metal. Is in that way, quite acceptable. So, what did I think? Did I enjoy it? Yeah, reasonably. Quite like a bit of Judas Priest, and this was a reasonable bit of Judas Priest. So, yeah, it was all right. It's not kind of, I wouldn't pick it as one of my favourites. It's kind of just tipped into the sevens, which is my dividing thought is, sixes is okay, sevens is might I seek it out again to listen to it. Just about, maybe. Okay, here's what I think. I think maybe that there are going to be better Judas Priest albums coming up on this list, so we'll see what happens when we get to them. Anyway, that's what I think. So I'd love to know what you think, so please do tell me by leaving a comment down there in the comments box. And that's it from me for now.